How Gaza could trigger a regional war. 2 days ago, a Caspian report.
Following the deadly Hamas attack in October, Israeli forces have pushed south and up to 300,000 reservists have been called up. The Israeli military has now set its sights on the Gaza Strip. Hezbollah has vowed to stand by Hamas and has threatened to open a second and third front to Israel's north. Already, Israel and Hezbollah have traded missiles and a handful of troops on both sides have been killed. Civilians in the vicinity are getting ready for wider
You guys ready for chat to completely go insane?
hostilities.
It's gonna be great.
In South Lebanon, the roads heading north are congested with traffic jams. People are fleeing, making way for a gruesome conflict that might just set the entire Middle East on fire. Hezbollah has roughly 130,000 rockets and missiles, and it could use that firepower to overwhelm Israel's air defenses and destroy Israeli bases and critical infrastructure, including presumed nuclear weapons facilities in northern Israel.
What a weird world, right? You guys remember when you were a kid and you're like, war's over, we're all just gonna go to a nice future, and now look at all this shit. Climate change is killing everybody, man. Today I was out in a t-shirt at the beginning of November.
This video shows a massive amount of MK-84 general-purpose bombs that will be put onto Israeli fighter jets and likely dropped over Gaza.
Could you imagine? I know this is just blah blah. I know what I'm gonna say now. I know it's not real, but imagine all that money we put into bombs just for 1 year. You take all that money and you put it into like welfare or something. Holy shit, bro. I know it's
about
not gonna happen, but could you imagine?
And each is capable of creating a crater that is 15 meters wide and 10 meters deep. These bombs are equipped with JDAM guidance, which allows them to be guided toward relocatable targets from both bombers and fighter jets. Upon impact, the bombs can penetrate up to 38 centimeters of metal and up to 3 meters of concrete. The amount of bombs in the video is enough to level Gaza City. As if pounding
some of them had solar planes, man. Not bad,
neighborhoods
man. Not bad.
in Gaza is not enough, the Israeli military is also setting the stage to launch a full-scale ground invasion into the northern half of the Gaza Strip. This is where things could go horribly wrong. Hamas is believed to have around 40,000 fully trained soldiers, and since it's battling on its own turf, it will have the defenders' advantage.
Yeah, they're gonna be like Vietnam, bro. Just booby traps everywhere, hiding in the houses behind civilians.
Is riddled with underground tunnels, ambush sites, and concealed outposts equipped with ATGMs to destroy incoming Israeli tanks and vehicles. Gaza is also considered one of the most densely packed urban areas in the world. You don't want to be a tank driver in that shit. I learned that in the Loose. House-to-house fighting in Gaza could get real ugly real fast. To give color to the military setting, Israel has fought Hamas 4 times before, in 2006, 2008, 2012, and as recently as 2021. Each conflict, however, ended indecisively. Hamas took a beating, but it retained complete control over Gaza. All the same, the Israelis say this time will be different, and it certainly looks that way. Up to 300,000 reservists have been called up, and government officials have vowed to destroy Hamas once and for all. Israel is now in the offing to deploy its military on a scale not seen before.
That would be me, man. If Germany will do that, that'd be me. I'm still in the fucking reserve,
However,
man.
as grim as these developments are, Hamas is not the main player.
But the country calls us reserve, you know, shit's getting serious.
Plenty of vultures are circling the area, looking for easy pickings and new opportunities. About 200 kilometers to the north is Lebanon, which hosts Hezbollah. Backed by Iran in funding, planning, and expertise, Hezbollah is one of the world's deadliest non-state actors, certainly the most heavily armed one. Since the 1990s,
There's only 10 million people in Israel, so 300K is a lot. That is a lot.
Grown from a band of ragtag guerrilla rebels into a powerful fighting force numbering around 100,000 strong, according to the group's leader, Hassan Nasrallah. Having fought in Syria, Iraq, and Yemen, Hezbollah is battle-hardened, and that counts for something. Its troops are trained like an army and equipped like a state. The group is believed to have received financial backing from Iran to the tune of $700 million every year. For a non-state actor, that is a mind-boggling amount of money. Hezbollah is also armed with a large and diverse stockpile of unguided artillery rockets, as well as ballistic, anti-air, anti-tank, and anti-ship missiles. Its capacity for a sustained conflict overshadows that of Hamas many times over. If Israel's ground operation in Gaza does irreparable damage to Hamas, Hezbollah and Iran might be persuaded to intervene and rescue their ally in the Gaza Strip. However, since neither Iran nor Hezbollah has the air or ground forces capable of reaching Gaza, intervention would come mainly in the form of drones, rockets.
Man, all these videos we're reacting for the last 2 years make me want to go training. They make me want to go jogging every morning because I feel like, man, I'm going to get fucking drafted into some World War III shit. You guys feel the same?
Hezbollah is estimated to have an arsenal of roughly 130,000 rockets and missiles.
Yeah, but if Israel nukes somebody, man, bro,
and
the international community is going to be really pissed, man.
Either way,
they're going to be like, bro,
is more firepower than some of the member states of NATO. Speaking from Lebanon on October 13th, Iran's foreign minister Hossein Amir Abdollahian said there was every possibility of a second front if Israel's blockade of Gaza were to continue. If the gloves come off and Hezbollah joins the fight, it would turn the hostilities into a multi-front conflict for Israel, Hamas in the south and Hezbollah in the north. To boot, even Syria would get drawn into the fight since Hezbollah is deeply involved in the Syrian civil conflict, which means that Hezbollah's involvement would open two fronts simultaneously, one from South Lebanon and one from the Syrian-controlled part of the Golan Heights.
You think if we nuke Iran twice, that will make Iranian enemy in 70 years?
No return. On day one, some 130,000 rockets would fly over Israel, resulting in tens of thousands of casualties. Israel would then have no choice but to let loose the full power of its air force. South Lebanon would be decimated in retaliation. The body count would stack up. Civilian casualties would be an afterthought at this point. Israel would then...
You guys know me, I always say this. I always like to see the world through the eyes of an alien. And I always feel like an alien watching this, right? There's an alien ship just watching us and he's watching YouTube all day. Imagine you're an alien. You probably just watch YouTube all day, right? And you're just like, oh my god. Dude, these guys are like 1,000 years away from fucking...
have to move into Beirut
for being ready to be contacted, bro.
By this point, Syria and even Iran would fully take part in the fight as well. Fortunately, things are not at this stage yet, but the situation sits on a knife's edge. Israel has already deployed tens of thousands of troops.
You guys remember that South Park episode where it comes out the human race or planet Earth was only made to be a TV show for aliens? It makes so much sense, though, right?
Lebanon. It has struck the airports in Damascus and Aleppo.
Imagine you're a super intelligent alien, right? Like your brain is this big, telepathy, blah, blah, beep, boop, boop. You're like super philosophical, man. You're fucking bored after a while. After 10,000 years of ruling the universe, so you create Earth, man. And all these humans, they make really weird porn, they make anime, and they have a lot of war, man. So you watch the humans all day, man, with your wife, and you just have fun.
At the same time, Hezbollah has fired missiles into Israel, attempted to infiltrate...
That could also be the reason for the Fermi paradox, why aliens don't talk to us yet, even though the universe should be full of them.
Israeli towns and launched drone attacks across the border. Things haven't been...
You think aliens watch the stream? Is there any aliens in chat? Twitch Prime, if you're an alien.
One miscommunication on either side and the setting could quickly spiral. Still more, the United States has deployed an aircraft carrier strike.
It's so funny how one carrier scares everyone, man.
The USS Gerald R. Ford is the world's largest aircraft carrier and the largest warship ever constructed.
Damn.
It can field 75 aircraft, including...
And Rebel exposing 5 aliens, man. They're going man in black on this shit. There are 70 planes on this shit? What a crazy technological thing the USS Gerald R. Ford is.
F-35C jets. Its naval task is made up of 5 guided missile ships, 4 destroyers, and 1 cruiser. Altogether, it packs one heck of a punch, and its presence in the vicinity...
I think you can rocket them. I've been watching video. They have crazy anti-air defense, especially destroyers around
and other groups from jumping into the fight. In case the message wasn't clear enough, Washington is now sending a second aircraft carrier strike group
Tommy and
to
the
the Eastern
to take that down.
led by the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower.
shit.
Using these deployments,
that's being so legendary, they name a carrier after you,
America
bro.
hopes it can prevent the conflict from expanding. However, Iran did not build up Hamas over the years, only to leave it alone to deal with Israel's devastating counteroffensive.
I want to say something that could come across as people want to leave my stream. But today I punched myself with my amateur MMA gloves, and they're so hard, man. And if you imagine, like, Francis Ngannou hits you with them, bro, you're fucking dead. Anyway, back to topic. As a Westerner, it is in our interest to be pro-Western values, right? We're the West. Most of you, my viewers, were Westerners. We like the West, we like freedom, we like capitalism, we like democracy, right? That's kind of our thing, right? Let's stay with that point right now. And isn't it in our interest that Israel wins? Or at least exists? Because I'm thinking, imagine a scenario where Israel gets annihilated. Israel is fucking gone, right? The Middle East and all the Islam in there is gonna look more outside for other stuff. Well, they're gonna look for other stuff to do, right? They're gonna look for the big enemy, the West. I don't know. I mean, look at Europe lately, man. All these demonstrations and stuff, man. There's crazy conflict material in the West right now. Muslims versus the West. You see all across the board, let's be fucking real here, this is a fact, that right-wing populist parties are getting ultra strong. The AfD, the anti-immigration, anti-Muslim party, you could almost say, in Germany is getting ultra big, man. And this is just a fact I'm stating right now, this is not my opinion, that in the West you see a lot of resentment against Islam, Muslim immigrants. That is just a thing that you can't deny, right? That is just becoming a thing, man. And here's another truth. Even if Israel was eradicated, in Palestine, Syria, all of them would be free countries without Israel, I think all the Muslim refugees in the West will still not go home. Because they love it in the West. Thank you, Turbo. Thank you. Oh man, I said that. Thank you for 3 years.
And then launch a surprise attack at a time of its own choosing.
That's my thing about the West. People that shit on the West, if you're Russian, China, they all shit on the West, but everybody wants to fucking be here, man. You get the best social welfare, man. You have the best life possible here, man.
Back in 2006, when hostilities erupted in the Gaza Strip and Israel launched a ground operation, Hezbollah launched an attack of its own, 2 weeks after the Israeli assault. To everyone's surprise, Hezbollah mounted sophisticated swarming attacks against the Israelis.
I just talked with Lisa today, man, that I think, like, you and me, we're gonna live like 60 more years if we're lucky, 50, 60, 70 more years. I have like 50 more years, maybe 40. Look at the blood pressure. Thank you, Pillman. And I think we're gonna see, I hope I'm wrong, I think we're gonna see this powder keg of refugees in the West, we're gonna see it burst. This conflict between Westerners and the Muslim refugees, you already see it bursting, man. It's going crazier and crazier. Right-wing populism is growing so much.
Hezbollah's military capacity is believed to have grown tenfold since the last military encounter 17 years ago. Moreover, while in 2006, Hezbollah's stockpile mostly consisted of inaccurate rockets,
they will just be an act.
The group has since gathered a...
Yeah, I always, you know, I used to be a law student, and I like reason and logic. I always wonder about facts. I don't want to just like Twitter and Twitch chat blah. I want to look at facts. Imagine, for example, Marie Le Pen wins in France. The AfD wins in Germany. What exactly are they going to change? Because there's certain checks and balances in a democracy. You see it in the US, for example, where Donald Trump can't just do what he wants. You can't just fucking make a law against refugees like the AfD. It's not that easy. There's checks and balances. You have to get it through parliament, right? You need 51%, sometimes even 66%. You can't even, thank you, Boris. I always wonder, you remember when Trump was elected and the whole world was like, oh my god, it's the end of the world. Trump didn't even do that much. He didn't even do that much, bro, right? People always act like there's like a huge change. Next year, my state has an election and totally AfD will win. 100%, bro. 100%. But then I always wonder, what the fuck are they gonna do, man? Suddenly all the refugees are gone? It's not gonna fucking happen. It's not how it works. I have no idea.
A vast arsenal of precision-guided munitions thanks to friends in Tehran. Some of Hezbollah's new missiles are capable of hitting as close as 10 meters of their designated target.
Look at what's happening. Italy, the first steps is to tell everybody that you're changing things, controlling information channels. But Italians, tell me factually, what did that blonde woman do? What did she do? Stopping illegal immigration, she failed. One of the promises was to defend the country's frontiers, by creating a naval blockade off the coast of North Africa. The promise clearly has not been turned to reality. And I think that's what right-wing populism is, really. You vote for right-wing populism thinking they change everything, and they don't do jack shit, man, because they don't have the power to do it. There we go. That's what I've just been saying about. There's checks and balances. There's laws, internationally and locally. So voting for her doubled the immigration. Good job, right-wing populism. Other less traditional types of family have, on the other hand, been punished by the government. Yeah, which is ridiculous. Well, watch this one. I saw this. With surrogacy having been made illegal for Italians outside the country. Women that can't have children on their own, lesbian couples, gay couples too, are not allowed to have children anymore in the surrogacy program. Very, very fucked up. During the past year, queer parents across the country have seen their names removed from their children's certificate. Isn't that fucked up? Earlier this year, the government pushed forward a controversial measure defending the Italian language and identity against the combination of English words. What's your opinion on that, Chad? I think that's very backwards and really dumb. The world becoming more English is just part of globalization. It's a good thing for everyone. It's good if young people speak English. It gives them more opportunities. It makes more connections. I think that's really weird. The legal initiative will punish the use of foreign words in official communication with fines. If you use English words in official papers, you get fined. She promised to fight political instability in Italy by changing the constitution. Dude, when they want to change constitutions, that's always when shit gets weird, man. Yeah, voting for right-wing populism in Italy, at least, seems to not be the solution, I guess.
Targets, and the bulk of these weapons are placed in concealed sites among the orange and banana plantations that are spread across southern Lebanon.
But the refugees doubled.
So, to neutralize Hezbollah's threat of rockets and missiles, the Israelis would need to deploy into Lebanon and occupy the area. However, doing so would be tricky, even with the air superiority brought about by the Americans. Lebanon has mountainous terrain perfect for ambushes and attrition warfare.
Yeah, Hollow says something beautiful here that I think we can all agree on here in this chat. The British people voted for Brexit because of migration. Let's be real. It was during the immigration crisis. The British people were like, I'm done with all these brown people coming to the country. I'm going to vote for Brexit. I even get it. It's their right. It's their right to do that. They have the right. I'm not saying they're bad people. They're right to do that. Did it do fucking jack shit? No. People always think these solutions are so easy, man, and
what's more, Hezbollah has long-range anti-ship missiles that could target the US aircraft carrier strike group.
So I wonder what the AFD
vicinity.
can do against
whether these attacks could actually...
I was actually studying this when I was in law school, like, let's actually real talk and not just dumb shit, but I don't remember much. The thing in law codes is, at least Germany, I don't know other countries is, that there is the asylum law for refugees. I actually studied that once, but I forgot everything. And it's about... You know, we don't just take people in for free. It's not like you can come here and that's it, right? I mean, people just get, like, you're in the back of a truck and you just get in and nobody knows that you really exist, right? That's one thing. But what happens is there is a thing called sichere Herkunftsländer. What does that mean? Germans heard it often in the media. If a refugee can show paper that he's from a country where it's proven that because of his race, sexuality, religion, all that fucking shit will be attacked, the law code of Germany, I think even the EU, I think so, allows that person to immigrate, which I think is a great law. That's a very progressive humanist law. If someone comes from a country where they're being attacked and hunted, they can find refuge in the EU. I think this is actually an EU law, right? The problem is many refugees, oh, I lost my papers, I'm from Iraq and I'm gay, yeah. You know, it's hard to do. And what right-wing populists can do, something they talk about in Germany now, is you make certain countries, I don't have an example right now, maybe you guys know, you take the list of countries where people are being hunted, and you just say, this country is not evil anymore. This country is now a safe country of origin. Sichere Herkunftsländer in German. So if you do that, if you say this country, let's say country X, fucking Zimbabwe, Alter, is now safe, that means refugees from Zimbabwe are not allowed anymore. They're not being hunted anymore under German law code. They could still be hunted. Germany doesn't care, right? And that's kind of what right-wing populists can do. They turn certain countries into safe countries again, even though they're not safe. And then you actually have a law precedent that, like, someone comes in and you're like, papers, please. Oh, this country is safe. You're not allowed into Germany. That's something they can actually do.
Succeed is another story. But the point is that Hezbollah did not have such capabilities in the last war. It would therefore be a mistake to measure Hezbollah by its 2006 settings. Times have changed and the group has gotten more robust and more capable. The Hezbollah of today will not necessarily confine itself to a defensive strategy. It could flip the script and take on a proactive battle plan. By use of range, terrain, experience,
it's also hard to prove you're gained from a bad country. I don't know how that works, actually. I don't know how that actually works.
And sheer number, Hezbollah could launch a decoy swarm attack using inaccurate rockets and then follow through.
Why not let Russians in? Bro, you ever been in Germany? There's Russians everywhere. Germany is full of Russians.
Precision-guided missiles to strike at Israeli bases and critical infrastructure, including the 3 alleged nuclear assembly facilities in northern Israel. Yeah, blowing up nuclear facilities, that's the level of destruction we're at. And the thing is, it is easier for Hezbollah to strike an Israeli nuclear facility than it is for the Israelis and Americans to attack Iran's nuclear facilities. So, conflict with Hezbollah could quickly become a nasty fight where we could see tower for tower carnage. No wonder part of Iran's strategy has been to use Hezbollah to keep Israel permanently on edge.
But is it human that the whole world wants to come to my home country and live from my taxes? Is it fair? I think it's not. It's a deep topic, man, and I think you gotta grow up a bit, man, and study this shit more. I think having laws like this is a great advancement and milestone for the human race. If you have a rich Western country, and that country doesn't just block itself off and makes a law that, hey, if you're gay and you're getting killed by the Taliban in Afghanistan, we, Germany, USA, France, we will let you in. I think that at its core, that is a beautiful thing, and we should be proud of that. That is a huge advancement of the human race. Unfortunately, as we know in real life, it's not that easy, right? It's not that easy in real life. But first of all, I think you shouldn't think like this, man. It's not a bad fucking thing, man. It can become bad later on, right? But that's a different story.
However, if Hezbollah and Iran have such an advantage, then why haven't they already unleashed hell? What's stopping full-out armed conflict? Well, for one, Hezbollah has some trouble at home. Lebanon as a state is barely hanging on.
They have a cool flag, man. They're like a Christmas country. They have a fucking Christmas tree. How cool is that?
Its currency has lost nearly 100% of its value in recent years. This hasn't affected the finances of Hezbollah, though. Its fighters are paid in dollars. However, the economic crisis in Lebanon affects Hezbollah's decision-making since it is legally part of the Lebanese government and has been since 2005. Conflict with Israel would throw Lebanon into an economic meltdown and likely affect Hezbollah's political standing for the worse. Even a rogue organization such as Hezbollah needs some public support to hold on to its parliamentary seats. Ultimately, though, whether Hezbollah gets involved or not depends on its patron, Iran. Since taking over the presidency in 2021, Ibrahim Raisi has taken an increasingly hard line in foreign policy. His cabinet is filled with former generals, people who know only the hammer as a tool and see everything as a nail. Iran has since taken a belligerent stance against Afghanistan, Turkey, Azerbaijan, the United Arab Emirates, and yes, Israel. However,
it's sad how everybody forgot about that women's movement in Iran, right? I think 2 days ago another woman got beaten to death for not wearing her hijab, but nobody talks about that shit anymore, huh? Where are all the marches now, huh?
Raisi's political turn to the right has certain restrictions. Employing Hezbollah's vast rocket and missile arsenal would mean exhausting it as leverage for years to come. At present, one of the most compelling strategic reasons dissuading Israel or the United States from launching an assault on Iran's nuclear facilities, employing that firepower in the current Gaza conflict would mean depleting it as a means of deterrence, thereby neutralizing its role as a deterrent. Doing so would then leave Iran open and exposed to devastating aerial bombardment by the Americans. So, while the Iranians are
free will just be a lot of airplanes,
tough,
man.
Strategically, they may want to preserve Hezbollah's rocket arsenal in order to save themselves from destruction. That's something to think about. Given this, the handful of missiles that Hezbollah has fired at northern Israel to date can be seen as a means.
In my opinion, constitutionalism is the way. Constitutions are usually written without bias, so it's a good base to start with progress into the future. I think that's a very intelligent thing you said. When I was studying law, I found myself to be a big fan of the German constitution. I think if you read constitutions, not the American one, that's fucking retarded, written by a 12-year-old. Constitutions are great papers, man. They are truly a milestone of the human race, and the German constitution has always been so fucking beautiful to me. The problem is that nobody listens to these constitutions. Article 3, I think, of the German constitution is everybody has to be treated equally, right? But it's not fucking happening. It's not a thing. Constitutions... You want to... Let's real talk. Let's talk about real life. You have constitutional rights, right? Most of you guys, right? If you live in fucking Russia, maybe not so much. You have rights. Let's make an example. Let's say somebody, especially the government, has attacked one of your constitutional rights. A policeman has done something bad to you. What happens now is... There is no superhero, there's no Superman, Constitution Man that will fly from heaven, beat up the policeman and give you your rights back. That's not how it works. If your constitutional rights are attacked, what you have to do is, in real life, right? It's not Twitch, real life, you have to sue. You have to get a lawyer, you have to get to court. Now, the question, how many people do that? How many people have the money for that, right? So many people have a lot of... One thing I learned in law school, so many people have a lot of rights, but they don't have the fucking resources to get these rights going for themselves. Constitutions are in its core beautiful, man. I love the German constitution, man. It shows a perfect utopia of a great world, but it's just not how it works, unfortunately, man.
Means to complicate Israeli operations by raising the specter of a northern front without actually opening one. Conflict in Gaza could still trigger a regional war. But Hezbollah and Iranian officials know that Israel can hammer them even if wounded or distracted. Israel has Hamas in the crosshairs, and it is not open to negotiation. Iran and Hezbollah can either steer clear of the line of fire or join the battle. Tehran has built up Hamas into the danger it is, but Hezbollah is the one rocking the stage and stealing the show. As a proxy, it is too important to lose. Iran cannot afford it.
What are you still doing here, mate? Jeez. Well, if you want to see more, click these videos. Have fun. Looking good, boy.